What if the story of humanity is incomplete, shaped by missing pages, vanished records, and sealed archives that no one is allowed to open? Across deserts, ruins, temples, and underground vaults, countless texts have disappeared, burned, buried, or locked away. Civilizations rose and fell while their knowledge slipped into darkness, leaving behind fragments, rumors, and unanswered questions. From ancient libraries to hidden monasteries, from forbidden scrolls to digital archives, information has been controlled, filtered, and erased. Every generation inherits a version of history, but rarely the whole truth. Somewhere, beyond official records, entire worlds of knowledge may still be waiting to be uncovered. What if everything we've been told about history, everything we believe to be true, has been carefully curated, manipulated, or even erased? What if there is a hidden truth buried beneath centuries of suppression, waiting to be uncovered? Imagine there's an entire world of knowledge just out of reach, veiled in shadows, its secrets locked away in forgotten libraries, deliberately obscured by those in power. As we look at our world, shaped by the narratives of textbooks and official histories, the very idea of these hidden repositories of ancient wisdom seems almost too far-fetched to believe. But what if these libraries, these shadowed sanctuaries of forbidden knowledge, are not just myth? What if they have existed for thousands of years, hiding knowledge that could alter the very foundations of our understanding? What we are about to explore is a tale of destruction and preservation, of light and shadow, of knowledge that has been kept from us not out of ignorance, but by design. The libraries that have existed in secret, the texts that have been deliberately erased, the knowledge that was too dangerous for the masses. This is a story that stretches back through time, and its implications reach far beyond what we might think of as ancient history. The shadow libraries we are about to uncover are not just places. They are symbols of how control over knowledge has always been a powerful tool in shaping the world. From the mysterious shelves of the Library of Alexandria to the long-lost scrolls of the Templars, we begin a journey into the darkest corners of human history, where forbidden texts may still hold the answers to the most profound questions. Imagine a vast library, its towering shelves lined with scrolls and manuscripts, some of which have never been seen by human eyes for thousands of years. In this library, the ancient texts, written in languages we no longer understand, hold the answers to the secrets of the universe. This library is not located in any of the world's known capitals of knowledge. Instead, it is buried, hidden away, a shadow of what it once was. Few even know of its existence, and fewer still are brave enough to seek its contents. The ancient civilizations understood the power of knowledge. It was not just the ability to understand the stars, the earth, or the seas that they protected, but the knowledge that could alter the course of history itself. They understood that knowledge was power, and that power, when controlled by the few, could shape empires, create revolutions, and transform societies. But why would knowledge be hidden? Why would it be suppressed? The answer lies in the age-old conflict between those who seek power and those who wish to illuminate the truth. Throughout history, the controllers of power have always feared that knowledge, if shared freely, could undermine their authority. What happens when secrets are revealed that challenge the very foundation of established belief? When texts challenge the status quo, they don't just threaten the worldview of the powerful, they challenge their legitimacy. In ancient times, those who held the knowledge controlled the fate of entire civilizations. From the Egyptians to the Greeks to the mysterious civilizations of Mesopotamia, the libraries they kept were not just centers of learning. They were sanctuaries of power. The Library of Alexandria is perhaps the most iconic symbol of this hidden world of knowledge. It is said to have housed hundreds of thousands of scrolls, texts that contained everything from mathematical theories and astronomical discoveries to mystical wisdom and hidden sciences. It was a beacon of learning, attracting scholars from all over the ancient world. But one day it was lost. No one knows exactly how it happened, but over the centuries, the library was gradually destroyed, piece by piece, until nothing remained but fragmented memories of its existence. What did the ancient world lose with the destruction of the Library of Alexandria? What secrets were erased and why? The loss of this great store of knowledge could have altered the entire trajectory of human history. Some believe that the library's destruction wasn't an accident, that it was deliberate, that certain powers knew what it contained, and that they wanted it gone. But the Library of Alexandria was not the only one. Across the world, ancient civilizations stored knowledge in hidden repositories, far away from prying eyes. The Egyptians, for example, are said to have buried vast libraries in the sands of the desert. These were not just collections of scrolls. They were the repositories of arcane wisdom that could reveal truths about the nature of existence itself. These texts were the key to understanding the world beyond a material plane, the hidden forces that govern the cosmos. The Gnostics, a group of early Christians who were condemned by the Roman Church, preserved many of these forbidden teachings. Their writings, including the Nag Hammadi codices, have survived the ravages of time, but only because they were hidden away, secreted in caves and remote locations, far from the reach of those who would destroy them. There is something deeply unsettling about these hidden libraries. They are not just collections of books, they are testaments to the very nature of human knowledge. They represent the idea that there are forces at play in the world that we may never fully understand. Forces that have deliberately kept us from the truth. As we uncover these hidden repositories of ancient knowledge, we must ask ourselves, what are we really being kept from? What is the knowledge that has been hidden from us for centuries, and why has it been suppressed? And perhaps most chilling of all, who has the power to suppress it? The answer may lie in the secretive institutions and organizations that have long had a vested interest in controlling knowledge. The Vatican, for example, is often accused of hiding vast archives that contain texts which could shatter the foundations of accepted religious history. The Vatican secret archives are rumored to house documents and scrolls that could change everything we know about early Christianity, the true origins of religious beliefs, and the hidden truths about the nature of God and the universe. But these texts are not available to the public. They remain locked away, hidden behind the thick walls of the Vatican, protected by those who have the power to keep them out of our reach. What do they possibly contain that is so dangerous? As we delve deeper into the history of these shadow libraries, we realize that the suppression of knowledge is not just an ancient phenomenon. It is ongoing. Modern governments, corporations, and religious institutions still engage in the selective distribution of knowledge. They continue to suppress information that could undermine their power, their influence, and their control over the masses. Just as the ancient rulers feared the power of knowledge, so too do the modern ones. What they have learned from history is that when the truth comes to light, it can change everything. And so, the search for lost knowledge continues. The story of these shadow libraries is not just a tale of the past. It is a warning, a call to action, a reminder that knowledge, true knowledge, is the most dangerous weapon of all, and those who hold it can change the world. But the question remains, will we ever be allowed to see it? The concept of shadow libraries is one that exists in the corners of our collective imagination, hidden just beyond the reach of our everyday awareness. They are more than mere physical spaces. They are repositories of knowledge that exist outside the official narratives of history, knowledge that has been deliberately excluded or forgotten by the powers that be. The idea of shadow libraries calls to mind a secret world, one that operates in the dark, its contents protected and veiled from the general public. These libraries are not just places where books are stored, but places where entire histories, alternative truths, and forgotten sciences might still reside, waiting to be uncovered by those who dare seek them. Their existence raises an unsettling question. What could be contained within them? And why has the world been kept in the dark about their existence? In many ways, the history of the world as we know it is built upon the selective telling of stories, the carefully curated presentation of events, and the systematic suppression of information that does not fit the dominant narrative. It is in this context that shadow libraries come into focus, places where alternative knowledge was stored, where documents and manuscripts were hidden, where the truths that threatened the established order were preserved, often at great risk. The most famous of these libraries is perhaps the Library of Alexandria, which, at its peak, was the center of knowledge in the ancient world. It attracted scholars from all over the Mediterranean, who came to study its vast collection of scrolls and books, many of which were said to contain knowledge that spanned all subjects: science, philosophy, mathematics, and even esoteric wisdom. But what happened to this great library? Why was it destroyed, and what did the world lose in its fall? The destruction of the Library of Alexandria is one of history's greatest tragedies. It has long been shrouded in mystery, with many theories regarding how and why it was lost. Some suggest it was destroyed by fire during Julius Caesar's siege of Alexandria in 48 BCE, while others point to the gradual decline of the library over centuries, weakened by neglect and the ravages of time. Whatever the cause, the loss of the Library of Alexandria was not just a physical destruction of books and scrolls, but a cultural erasure. The knowledge contained within its walls could have fundamentally changed the trajectory of human history. Scholars, both ancient and modern, have speculated that the library housed not only the written works of the ancients, but also esoteric teachings, documents that held the secrets of the cosmos, the hidden knowledge of the universe. These teachings may have contained lost sciences, forgotten technologies, and even mystical practices that could have altered the way humanity understood the world. But with its destruction, much of this knowledge was lost, and with it, the possibility of a very different future. But Alexandria was not the only place where forbidden knowledge was stored. Across the ancient world, from Egypt to Babylon to India, there were secret libraries and archives that held the keys to understanding the deeper truths of existence. These libraries were not public institutions. They were hidden from view, often located in places where only the initiated could access them. In many cases, these libraries were destroyed or hidden away when civilizations fell or when rulers feared that the knowledge contained within them would challenge their authority. In Egypt, for example, it is said that the priests of ancient temples kept hidden scrolls that contained esoteric wisdom, knowledge of the stars and the cosmos, and secrets of the afterlife. These scrolls were carefully guarded, and access was granted only to a select few. But as Egypt fell to foreign invaders, many of these texts were lost or destroyed, leaving only whispers of their existence behind. In Babylon, there are records of ancient libraries that were said to contain the sacred knowledge of the Babylonians, knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and mysticism. These libraries were central to the functioning of Babylonian society, and they were often located in temples or palaces where the ruling class could control access to the knowledge they contained. When the Persian Empire conquered Babylon, many of these libraries were either destroyed or assimilated into the new empire's knowledge base. But the knowledge that had been passed down through the generations was not entirely lost. Some of it survived, hidden in the libraries of the ancient world, waiting for the right moment to be rediscovered. The concept of shadow libraries extends beyond the ancient world and into the more recent past, when the suppression of knowledge took on a more deliberate and institutionalized form. In the medieval period, the Catholic Church controlled much of the knowledge of the Western world. The Church was the keeper of the written word, and its scribes were responsible for copying and preserving texts that were deemed important. However, many of the ancient texts, especially those that conflicted with the Church's teachings, were destroyed or hidden away. The Church's control over knowledge was not just about religion. It was about power. By controlling access to knowledge, the Church could shape the worldview of millions of people and maintain its hold over the masses. The suppression of knowledge during this time was not limited to religious texts. It also extended to scientific discoveries, philosophical ideas, and even medical knowledge. Many of the great works of ancient Greek and Roman thinkers were lost for centuries because they were deemed heretical or dangerous by the Church. Some of these texts were hidden away in monasteries or private collections, while others were destroyed outright. One of the most famous examples of suppressed knowledge from this period is the case of the Gnostic texts. The Gnostics were an early Christian sect that believed in the possession of secret knowledge, or gnosis, that could lead to spiritual enlightenment. The Gnostic texts, many of which were discovered in the 20th century at Nag Hammadi in Egypt, contained teachings that were radically different from the Orthodox Christian doctrine that would come to dominate the Western world. These texts offer an alternate view of Jesus, the creation of the world, and the nature of the divine. They were suppressed by the early church because their teachings threatened the authority of the Christian hierarchy. For centuries, these texts remained hidden, but in the modern era, they have resurfaced, offering a glimpse into a lost history of early Christianity. In more recent history, the control of knowledge has taken on new forms, with governments and institutions around the world engaging in the deliberate suppression of information. In the 20th century, political regimes such as the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany actively sought to control the flow of information, censoring books and ideas that challenged the official narrative. In the modern era, corporations and governments continue to engage in similar practices, manipulating information to maintain power and control. The concept of shadow libraries has evolved to include not just physical spaces, but also digital archives, where information is hidden behind paywalls or suppressed by algorithms. In this sense, the idea of a shadow library is not just about lost manuscripts from the past, but about the ongoing struggle for access to information in the present day. But as we look to the future, the question remains, will we ever be able to uncover all the hidden knowledge that has been suppressed throughout history? Will the shadow libraries of the ancient world ever be fully explored? Will we ever gain access to the forbidden texts that have been hidden away for centuries? And, perhaps most importantly, what will we find when we do? Will the knowledge contained within these libraries change our understanding of history, of ourselves, and of the universe? Or will it simply serve as a reminder of the lengths to which those in power will go to keep the truth hidden from masses? These are questions that have haunted historians, researchers, and truth seekers for centuries. And as we continue to explore the mysteries of the shadow libraries, we must ask ourselves whether we are ready for the answers they might reveal. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge is a dangerous endeavor, one that requires a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, to challenge accepted beliefs, and to seek answers in places where others have dared not tread. But it is also a pursuit that holds the potential to change the world, to reveal new ways of thinking, and to unlock the mysteries of the past that have been kept hidden from us for so long. Whether or not we are ready for this knowledge remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The search for these shadow libraries and the secrets they contain is a journey that will continue for as long as humanity seeks the truth. The Library of Alexandria stands as one of the greatest symbols of lost knowledge in human history, its destruction forever haunting our understanding of what might have been. Built in the 3rd century BCE during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus in Egypt, this magnificent institution was designed to be the world's greatest center of learning, a place where scholars from all corners of the ancient world could come together to share, debate, and expand upon the vast body of knowledge that had been accumulated up to that point. The library's purpose was clear: to house the collective wisdom of humanity from the beginnings of civilization to the present day. Its contents were said to include not only works from ancient Greece and Egypt, but also from Persia, India, and even far-off China. For centuries, the Library of Alexandria represented the pinnacle of intellectual achievement and was the epicenter of the ancient world's pursuit of knowledge. Yet, despite its grandeur, the Library of Alexandria is shrouded in mystery, primarily because of its ultimate destruction and the loss of the priceless works it contained. The fire that destroyed the Library of Alexandria is one of history's most tragic events, but the full extent of the disaster and the role it played in shaping the trajectory of human history is still debated. Some historians attribute the destruction of the library to the Roman general Julius Caesar, who, during his siege of Alexandria in 48 BCE, allegedly set fire to the city's docks. The flames from this fire are said to have spread to the library, engulfing its contents and reducing much of the collection to ashes. However, this account is far from universally accepted. Others argue that the destruction of the library was a much slower process, spread over centuries, with various incidents contributing to its eventual collapse. It is possible that the library suffered gradual degradation, starting with a series of smaller fires, followed by neglect and the loss of funding, particularly after Alexandria's political power waned. The library was, after all, a symbol of intellectual and cultural achievement, and as political regimes shifted, the importance of the library in the public imagination may have diminished. Regardless of the cause, what remains undeniable is the fact that the Library of Alexandria, once a symbol of the limitless potential of human thought, was lost to the ravages of time, and with it, a vast treasure trove of knowledge. The true scope of the knowledge contained within the Library of Alexandria remains a subject of speculation, as no comprehensive catalog of its contents has survived. What we do know, however, is that the library was home to some of the greatest minds of antiquity. Scholars such as Euclid, Archimedes, and Ptolemy worked and taught at the library, their groundbreaking contributions to geometry, physics, and astronomy shaping the foundation of Western scientific thought. The library was also the site of extensive research in medicine, philosophy, and literature, and its scholars were tasked with compiling and translating the works of earlier civilizations. One of the library's most famous projects was the translation of the Hebrew Bible into Greek, known as the Septuagint, a work that has had a profound impact on both Jewish and Christian traditions. It is believed that the library housed hundreds of thousands of scrolls, many of which were irreplaceable copies of ancient texts from across the known world. To imagine what might have been lost in the flames of the library is to contemplate the breadth and depth of human intellectual history, works of science, philosophy, and literature that could have advanced human civilization centuries ahead of where it actually ended up. Many of the great minds of antiquity, from Aristotle to Plato, from Herodotus to Homer, are thought to have had their works stored in the library, making it a repository of the intellectual and cultural heritage of the ancient world. But perhaps the most intriguing question surrounding the Library of Alexandria is what else it may have contained, knowledge that was not simply lost to time, but actively suppressed or hidden from the public. As with many ancient libraries, there was likely more within its walls than just the texts that have been passed down through history. Some historians and conspiracy theorists speculate that the Library of Alexandria contained not only scientific and philosophical works, but also esoteric and mystical texts, manuscripts that would have challenged the religious and political orthodoxy of the time. If such works existed, they would have been seen as dangerous to those in power, as they could have undermined the social, religious, and political systems that were the bedrock of the ancient world. These secret texts might have contained forbidden knowledge about the true nature of the cosmos, the origins of life, and the mysteries of the divine. They may have held answers to questions that modern science still struggles to answer. But if such documents existed, they were likely lost forever in the destruction of the library, their secrets buried along with the scrolls of Euclid and Homer. The notion that the Library of Alexandria may have contained such forbidden knowledge raises profound questions about the relationship between knowledge, power, and control. Throughout history, those who have held power have understood the importance of controlling access to knowledge. Knowledge is not only a tool for understanding the world, but also a weapon that can be wielded to influence and manipulate societies. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria and the deliberate suppression of knowledge that followed can be seen as part of a broader pattern of controlling information and shaping the narratives of history. For centuries, the ruling classes have sought to keep knowledge from the masses, not because they did not value it, but because they understood its power to disrupt the status quo. Whether through religious censorship, political control, or the deliberate destruction of libraries and archives, the suppression of knowledge has been a key element of maintaining authority. In addition to its role as a center of learning, the Library of Alexandria was also a political institution. It was a symbol of the power and prestige of the Ptolemaic dynasty, and as such, it became entangled in the politics of the ancient world. When Cleopatra ascended to the throne, she took steps to restore Alexandria's status as the intellectual capital of the Mediterranean world, funding the library's expansion and bringing scholars from across the known world to study there. But as political power shifted, so too did the fortunes of the library. When Egypt fell under Roman rule, the library's importance began to wane. The loss of political patronage, coupled with increasing instability, may have contributed to the eventual decline of the library. The library's destruction in the 1st century BCE was not merely the result of a single catastrophic event. It was the culmination of centuries of political turmoil, changing regimes, and a shifting cultural landscape that ultimately led to the loss of one of the greatest intellectual treasures of the ancient world. In the centuries following the destruction of the Library of Alexandria, the loss of its knowledge reverberated throughout history. The ancient world's greatest intellectual center was gone, and with it, the possibility of an accelerated advancement of knowledge. The loss of the library left a vacuum that would take centuries to fill, with Europe's medieval period being marked by a relative stagnation of scientific and philosophical thought. The fall of the library had wide-reaching consequences, and the knowledge it contained, if it had survived, could have advanced human understanding in ways that are still difficult to imagine. The Renaissance, which would later usher in a new era of intellectual and artistic flourishing, might have arrived centuries earlier had the Library of Alexandria's treasure survived. But instead, humanity had to endure a long period of intellectual darkness, waiting for the rediscovery of lost knowledge. While the Library of Alexandria may be lost to history, its legacy persists in the collective imagination of humanity. It serves as a reminder of the power of knowledge and the fragility of our intellectual heritage. In the centuries since its destruction, the desire to uncover what was lost has driven scholars, adventurers, and truth-seekers to search for clues about the library's contents. The search for lost knowledge is a timeless endeavor, and though the Library of Alexandria may no longer stand, its spirit endures. The desire to recover the lost wisdom of the ancients, to uncover the secrets that were hidden in the library's halls, continues to inspire those who seek to challenge the boundaries of what we know about the past and the future. In the pursuit of uncovering the shadow libraries of antiquity, it becomes clear that the concept of hidden knowledge is not confined to any one region or civilization. Across the ancient world, from the sands of Egypt to the fertile crescent of Mesopotamia, ancient cultures accumulated vast troves of knowledge. Knowledge that, over time, was either lost, erased, or kept hidden from the public eye. These lost libraries were more than mere collections of books or scrolls. They were repositories of wisdom, steeped in mystery, that held secrets about the origins of human civilization, the mysteries of the cosmos, and the very nature of existence itself. The libraries of Sumer, Babylon, and Egypt contain not just records of their time, but ideas, theories, and philosophies that would have shaped the course of history had they survived. The ancient Sumerians, one of the earliest known civilizations, were among the first to develop writing, and with it, they began recording their thoughts, beliefs, and discoveries. These early records were inscribed on clay tablets and stored in vast archives, many of which were located in the temples and palaces of Sumer. Among the most famous of these texts are the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Enuma Elish, two of the oldest surviving works of literature that tell of the gods, creation, and the quest for immortality. But the Sumerians also recorded more practical knowledge, astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, that was far ahead of its time. The Sumerian understanding of the cosmos, the movements of the planets, and the cycles of the stars were written in cuneiform on tablets that were later discovered in the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia. What is truly remarkable about these ancient texts is not only their content, but their prescience. Many of the ideas contained in Sumerian records would later influence other great civilizations, including the Babylonians, the Greeks, and the Romans. But what happened to the majority of Sumer's written records? Many of these texts were lost to time, destroyed by war, fire, and decay, while others were kept hidden in the vaults of later civilizations that sought to control and suppress knowledge. In Babylon, another center of ancient learning, the libraries were similarly vast, containing not only works of history and philosophy, but also more esoteric writings that touched on astrology, mysticism, and the occult. The Babylonians, like the Sumerians before them, were deeply interested in the stars, and their knowledge of astronomy, was highly advanced for its time. The famous Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, were not only a marvel of engineering, but also a testament to the Babylonians' sophisticated understanding of irrigation and agriculture. The Babylonians also possessed an impressive body of medical knowledge, much of which was inscribed on clay tablets. But, like the Sumerians, the Babylonians were not merely concerned with practical knowledge. They also sought to understand the deeper mysteries of the universe. It is believed that they were deeply involved in the study of astrology and divination, and that their sacred texts contained not just information about the stars, but also occult knowledge that would have been regarded as dangerous or heretical by later civilizations. Babylon's knowledge was, in many ways, a precursor to later mystical traditions, including those of the Greeks and the Egyptians. As with the Sumerians and the Babylonians, the ancient Egyptians also accumulated vast amounts of knowledge. Unlike their Mesopotamian counterparts, however, the Egyptians were deeply concerned with the metaphysical aspects of life. Their texts, many of which were inscribed on papyri, deal not just with science and mathematics, but also with religion, spirituality, and the afterlife. The Egyptians were perhaps the first civilization to develop a comprehensive system of belief about the afterlife, one that emphasized the importance of spiritual knowledge and moral purity. Their most famous texts, the Pyramid Texts and the Book of the Dead, are filled with spells, prayers, and instructions meant to guide the soul through the afterlife and into eternal life. These texts were preserved in the tombs of pharaohs and nobles, ensuring that the knowledge contained within them would survive long after their earthly lives had ended. The Egyptians also accumulated extensive knowledge about medicine, anatomy, and the natural world. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, an ancient Egyptian medical text, contains detailed descriptions of surgical procedures and the treatment of injuries, while the Ebers Papyrus includes remedies for a wide range of ailments. What is remarkable about these texts is that they reflect a sophisticated understanding of the human body and disease that was far ahead of its time. However, just as in Sumer and Babylon, much of this knowledge was eventually lost, either destroyed or hidden away by later cultures that sought to suppress it. The mystery of lost or hidden knowledge is not confined to ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. Across the ancient world, there are references to libraries, archives, and texts that were deliberately erased from history. The destruction of these works, often attributed to war, religious fervor, or political expediency, has left us with a fragmented view of the ancient world. The knowledge that was contained in these lost libraries could have altered the course of human history, but instead, it was hidden away, its secrets buried by those who feared what might happen if the truth were revealed. Perhaps the most famous example of this is the destruction of the Great Library at Pergamon, a city in ancient Asia Minor that rivaled Alexandria in its intellectual importance. The library at Pergamon was home to one of the largest collections of books and manuscripts in the ancient world, second only to the Library of Alexandria. However, when the Romans sacked the city in 133 BCE, much of the library's collection was lost, either burned or looted. Some of the texts were later transferred to Rome, but the majority were lost forever. It is said that the destruction of Pergamon's library was the reason that the term parchment was coined, as the Romans had to turn to a new material to continue their writing traditions. What remains of Pergamon's knowledge is a mere shadow of what once existed, a reflection of the lost intellectual treasures of the ancient world. As time went on, the suppression of knowledge became more institutionalized. The ancient libraries were not just places where knowledge was stored. They were symbols of the power that knowledge held. Whoever controlled the libraries controlled the narrative of history. And throughout history, there have been those who sought to control the dissemination of knowledge for their own gain. In the medieval period, the Catholic Church was one of the most powerful institutions in Europe, and it controlled much of the written knowledge that was available to the public. The Church's influence over knowledge, especially in the early Middle Ages, meant that much of the ancient wisdom from the Greeks and Romans was lost or deliberately suppressed. The Church's theological agenda prioritized religious texts and doctrine, while works of science, philosophy, and other secular knowledge were often discarded or hidden away. Scholars who challenged the Church's teachings, such as Galileo Galilei and Giordano Bruno, were persecuted for their ideas, and many of their writings were suppressed or destroyed. The Church's monopoly on knowledge was not just about theology, it was about power. By controlling what people could read and what they could know, the Church was able to maintain its authority over both the spiritual and temporal realms. The suppression of knowledge continued into the modern era, as governments, corporations, and other powerful institutions sought to control information. The rise of printing presses in the 15th century allowed for the mass production of books and the spread of knowledge, but it also led to the censorship of ideas that were deemed dangerous or subversive. In the 20th century, the rise of totalitarian regimes, such as Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, demonstrated just how far governments would go to control the flow of information. Books were burned, libraries were raided, and entire collections of knowledge were destroyed in an effort to suppress dissent and control the narrative of history. In the digital age, the control of knowledge has become more sophisticated, with information being hidden behind paywalls, censored by algorithms, or manipulated by those in power to shape public opinion. As we continue to search for the lost libraries of the ancient world, it becomes clear that the suppression of knowledge is not just a thing of the past. It is an ongoing struggle. The knowledge that was hidden in the libraries of Sumer, Babylon, and Egypt is not just lost to history. It has been deliberately obscured, erased, and hidden away by those who fear its power. The question remains, what knowledge have we yet to uncover? And more importantly, what truths are still being hidden from us? As we delve deeper into the enigma of hidden knowledge, it becomes impossible to ignore the role of secret societies in the preservation and dissemination of forbidden texts throughout history. From the mysterious, shrouded halls of the Freemasons to the cryptic teachings of the Rosicrucians, there exists a long tradition of secret organizations that have jealously guarded knowledge that, for one reason or another, was deemed too dangerous, too revolutionary, or too powerful to be shared with the general public. These societies, often operating in the shadows of history, were not only protectors of ancient wisdom, but were also the bearers of knowledge that challenged the very foundation of religious, political, and scientific dogma. For centuries, they have kept alive the embers of forgotten truths, passing them down from one generation to the next, ensuring that the mysteries of the ancient world would never be entirely lost. One of the most well-known and influential of these secret societies is the Freemasons, whose origins are often traced back to medieval stonemasons guilds in Europe. Over the centuries, however, the Freemasons evolved from a trade organization into an esoteric fraternity that attracted intellectuals, politicians, and scholars. The Masonic order is notorious for its symbolism, secret rituals, and mysterious doctrines, all of which are believed to contain hidden knowledge. At the heart of Freemasonry is the pursuit of truth, an abstract and often elusive concept that has fascinated philosophers, mystics, and scientists for millennia. It is no coincidence that many of the key figures of the Enlightenment, such as Voltaire, Benjamin Franklin, and even George Washington, were Freemasons, as they were drawn to the order's ideals of liberty, knowledge, and self-improvement. But beneath the surface of these ideals lies something much more profound: the belief that hidden truths about the nature of the universe, the human soul, and the divine are encoded within the ancient symbols and rituals of the Masonic order. These truths, however, were not meant for the eyes of the general public. They were safeguarded by the Freemasons, passed down only to those who had proven themselves worthy of their revelations. The Masonic tradition is not unique in its quest to preserve and protect ancient wisdom. Another secret society that has played a key role in the transmission of hidden knowledge is the Rosicrucians, a mystical organization that emerged in the early 17th century. The Rosicrucians claimed to possess knowledge of alchemy, astrology, and other esoteric sciences that were said to be passed down from the ancient Egyptians and other mysterious civilizations. They saw themselves as the inheritors of the secret wisdom of the ancients, believing that they were destined to bring about a new age of enlightenment and spiritual awakening. Much like the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians operated in secret, and their teachings were passed down through a network of initiates who were sworn to secrecy. The Rosicrucian manifestos, which were published in the early 1600s, outlined a vision of a world in which science, religion, and mysticism could be harmonized, creating a society where the hidden truths of the universe would be revealed to all. However, these manifestos also warned that such knowledge could only be revealed at the right time, when humanity was ready to receive it. In the meantime, the Rosicrucians believed it was their duty to protect this knowledge and ensure that it would not fall into the wrong hands. The role of secret societies in safeguarding forbidden knowledge is not confined to the West. In fact, many of the ancient mystical traditions that have shaped the course of human history have roots in the East. The ancient mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and India were, in many ways, the forebears of these secret organizations. The Egyptian priesthood, for example, was tasked with preserving the sacred knowledge of the gods, knowledge that was said to have been passed down from the earliest days of creation. The priests of Egypt were regarded as the guardians of this knowledge, which included not only teachings about the gods and the afterlife, but also profound insights into mathematics, astronomy, and the natural world. These teachings were not made available to the public. Instead, they were passed down through a select group of initiates who underwent rigorous training and trials to prove their worthiness. The mystery schools of ancient Greece, particularly those of Pythagoras and Plato, similarly placed a premium on esoteric knowledge, much of which was concealed from the masses. Pythagoras, for instance, was said to have been initiated into the Egyptian mystery schools, where he learned the secrets of mathematics and geometry that would later become the foundation of Western science. Plato's philosophy, too, was steeped in the teachings of these ancient mystery traditions, which emphasized the importance of divine knowledge and the quest for spiritual enlightenment. In the ancient world, the suppression of knowledge was not just a matter of political control. It was also a matter of religious and spiritual purity. Those who sought to reveal the hidden truths of the universe were often seen as a threat to the established religious orders. The early Gnostic Christians, for example, were regarded as heretics by the Orthodox Christian Church because they believed that salvation could be attained through the acquisition of secret knowledge, or gnosis. The Gnostics were said to possess a deeper understanding of the nature of God, the creation of the world, and the human soul, knowledge that was hidden from the uninitiated. Much of this knowledge was passed down in the form of secret texts, many of which were later suppressed or destroyed by the early church. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi texts in Egypt in the 1940s revealed the extent to which the early Christian church had sought to suppress the Gnostic writings, which contained radical teachings about the nature of Christ, the soul, and the material world. These texts, along with other forbidden writings, were deliberately hidden away to protect the orthodoxy of the church and maintain its grip on spiritual authority. In more recent times, secret societies have continued to play a role in the preservation and transmission of knowledge. One of the most enduring examples of this is the mysterious figure of the man in the iron mask, whose true identity has been the subject of much speculation and intrigue. Some believe that he was a member of the royal family who was imprisoned for knowing too many secrets about the true nature of the monarchy and the hidden workings of the French state. Others have suggested that he was part of a secret order tasked with protecting a cache of forbidden knowledge, perhaps even knowledge that could have exposed the corruption and injustices at the heart of the French government. The mystery surrounding the man in the iron mask has endured for centuries, symbolizing the way in which powerful individuals and organizations have sought to suppress knowledge that could threaten their control. While many secret societies have operated in the shadows of history, others have emerged in more modern times, such as the Illuminati. Founded in the late 18th century in Bavaria, the Illuminati was a secret society that aimed to promote Enlightenment ideals, including the pursuit of knowledge, reason, and individual liberty. However, the society was quickly suppressed by the Bavarian government, and its true goals and influence remained shrouded in mystery. Conspiracy theories surrounding the Illuminati have flourished over the centuries, with some claiming that the society continues to exist today, operating behind the scenes to control world events and suppress knowledge that does not align with their agenda. Whether or not the Illuminati is still active, their legacy as a symbol of secret knowledge persists in popular culture, fueling the belief that there are hidden forces at work in the world, manipulating history and shaping the future in ways that are not immediately apparent. The shadowy world of secret societies and hidden knowledge is one that continues to fascinate and intrigue. These societies, with their enigmatic rituals, cryptic symbols, and arcane teachings, offer a glimpse into a world where knowledge is both a power and a burden, something that can elevate humanity to new heights, but also something that can be used to control, manipulate, and even destroy. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge has always been a dangerous endeavor, and those who seek it must be prepared to face not only the challenges of uncovering hidden truths, but also the forces that seek to keep those truths buried. Yet, despite the dangers, the allure of secret knowledge continues to captivate the imagination, and the search for the lost wisdom of the ancients is a journey that has only just begun. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the past, we must ask ourselves, what will we do with the knowledge we uncover? Will we use it to enlighten humanity, or will we, like those before us, seek to keep the truth hidden, locked away in shadows forever? As the centuries have passed, the search for forbidden knowledge has not only remained a pursuit of secret societies, but has also been deeply intertwined with the very evolution of modern history itself. This hidden knowledge, suppressed throughout the ages, has often resurfaced in unexpected ways, through ancient manuscripts, mysterious artifacts, and even through modern scientific discoveries that appear to challenge established narratives. These occurrences reveal a stark contrast between the knowledge concealed in the shadows and the information disseminated by mainstream history. In many cases, it is as if history itself has been carefully crafted, shaped by those who held power and sought to control the flow of information. The question, therefore, arises, how much of our history is real, and how much has been deliberately obscured to fit a particular narrative? The more we peel back the layers of this hidden history, the more we begin to realize that what we have been taught is just the tip of an iceberg, with vast realms of knowledge lying beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. One of the most striking examples of this ongoing uncovering is the discovery of ancient texts that challenge the conventional understanding of history and civilization. Among these are the ancient Sumerian tablets, which not only contain stories of the gods and creation, but also describe a highly advanced understanding of the cosmos, mathematics, and even the human genome. The Sumerians, long regarded as one of the earliest known civilizations, left behind a remarkable collection of cuneiform tablets, many of which were rediscovered in the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia. These tablets, which tell stories of gods who descend from the heavens and interbreed with humans, reveal a narrative of human origins that is radically different from what is taught in mainstream history. These ancient accounts speak of the Anunnaki, a race of gods who are said to have influenced humanity's development. These texts raise critical questions about the origins of human civilization, suggesting that our understanding of human history may be incomplete, or worse, intentionally distorted. Similarly, the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 20th century unveiled a wealth of hidden knowledge that had been buried for centuries. These ancient manuscripts, found in caves near the Dead Sea in the 1940s and 1950s, contain a wide range of texts, including previously unknown versions of the Bible and writings that shed light on the beliefs and practices of early Jewish sections. The scrolls not only challenged traditional religious narratives, but also hinted at alternative interpretations of Scripture, interpretations that were considered heretical by Orthodox religious authorities. Among the most notable of these texts was the Community Rule, a document that outlined the practices of the Essenes, an ascetic group that lived in isolation and awaited the coming of a messianic figure. The existence of such groups, whose beliefs diverged sharply from those of mainstream Judaism, suggests that the history of early Christianity and Judaism is far more complex than we have been led to believe. The scrolls also provided tantalizing glimpses into the secretive nature of religious communities that preserved and passed down forbidden knowledge for generations, hidden from the eyes of the general public. The implications of these discoveries are profound. They suggest that much of the religious and historical narrative we have inherited is a curated version of the past, one that has been shaped by those in power to fit their agendas. This revelation becomes even more striking when we examine the way in which alternative histories have been suppressed throughout the ages. The historical record is filled with instances of knowledge being deliberately erased, either by burning books or by destroying entire libraries. In ancient times, rulers understood the power of knowledge and sought to control it, knowing that whoever controlled information could shape the course of history. The burning of the Library of Alexandria, for instance, was not just an attack on a physical structure. It was an assault on the collective knowledge of an entire civilization. The loss of that library is often viewed as the turning point in human history, marking the moment when humanity's understanding of the world and the cosmos was set back by centuries. But the erasure of knowledge did not end in antiquity. In the medieval period, the Catholic Church played a significant role in suppressing knowledge that was considered heretical. Books were burned, and scholars were silenced, all in the name of maintaining religious orthodoxy. One of the most famous examples of this is the trial and execution of the philosopher and scientist Giordano Bruno. Bruno, who was a vocal advocate for the heliocentric model of the universe, was accused of heresy and burnt at the stake in 1600. His ideas, which challenged the traditional geocentric view of the universe, were considered dangerous by the Church. Bruno's fate is just one of many examples of how knowledge that threatened the established order was systematically destroyed or hidden away. The Church's control over knowledge during the medieval period ensured that many ideas, particularly those of science and philosophy, were relegated to the fringes, where they could not threaten the power structure. Even in the modern era, the manipulation of knowledge continues. Governments, corporations, and institutions still engage in the suppression of information that might challenge their authority or disrupt their interests. The rise of the internet and digital media has made it easier than ever for information to be controlled, hidden behind paywalls, censored by algorithms, or simply buried by overwhelming amounts of other content. In some cases, knowledge is suppressed not because it is dangerous, but because it does not align with the dominant narrative or corporate interests. For instance, alternative theories of history, which challenge the established views of ancient civilizations, are often dismissed or ridiculed, despite the growing body of evidence that suggests there is much more to the story than we have been told. This modern form of censorship is not always overt. It is often subtle, taking the form of social and academic pressures that discourage people from pursuing certain lines of inquiry or publishing certain ideas. It is a form of intellectual control that seeks to maintain the status quo by keeping the public from questioning the official narrative. Yet, despite these efforts to control information, there are those who continue to seek out the truth, regardless of the consequences. The uncovering of forbidden knowledge has always been a dangerous endeavor, one that requires not just intellectual curiosity, but also courage. The discovery of hidden texts, artifacts, and ancient knowledge has often been the work of individuals who have dared to challenge the established order and expose the secrets of the past. These individuals are often labeled as outcasts, heretics, or conspiracy theorists, but their work has nevertheless contributed to a broader understanding of history and the world we live in. One of the most famous examples of such a pursuit is the work of modern archaeologists and historians who have uncovered the remains of lost civilizations, such as the ancient city of Troy or the ruins of the Maya civilization. These discoveries have forced historians to reevaluate their understanding of ancient history and have led to the recognition that entire civilizations, once thought to be myths or legends, were real. Similarly, the ongoing search for the tomb of Cleopatra and the secrets of the lost city of Atlantis speaks to humanity's unyielding desire to uncover the truth, even when faced with overwhelming odds. These quests are not just about uncovering lost treasures. They are about revealing the hidden chapters of history that have been obscured or forgotten. At the same time, modern technology is playing an increasingly important role in uncovering forbidden knowledge. Advances in fields like genetic research, archaeology, and astronomy are opening up new avenues for exploring the past. The decoding of ancient texts, the analysis of DNA from long-extinct civilizations, and the use of satellite technology to search for lost cities are just a few examples of how new technologies are enabling us to uncover hidden truths about the ancient world. These discoveries not only challenge the conventional understanding of history, but also provide us with a glimpse into a world that existed long before our time. A world filled with wisdom, mysteries, and secrets that have yet to be fully understood. Despite the many obstacles that have been placed in the way of those who seek forbidden knowledge, the truth is gradually emerging from the shadows. As we continue to dig into the past, we are uncovering not just the history that has been hidden from us, but also the broader truths about our own nature and our place in the universe. The more we learn, the more we realize that the knowledge of the ancients was not only far more advanced than we have been taught, but that it also holds the potential to revolutionize the way we understand the world. This journey of discovery, though fraught with danger and resistance, is one that holds the promise of a deeper understanding of who we are, where we came from, and where we are going. As we journey further into the labyrinth of hidden knowledge, it becomes increasingly evident that the suppression of wisdom throughout history was not simply the work of individuals or even governments. It was part of a far broader and more deliberate pattern of controlling human understanding. The intentional erasure of knowledge is woven into the fabric of humanity's political, religious, and intellectual history, serving as a testament to the power that knowledge holds. In fact, history itself seems to be a series of attempts to shape, control, and often hide the vast storehouses of human understanding that could alter the course of civilization. This suppression is not always as overt as burning books or banning texts. More insidiously, it can take the form of creating narratives, official histories, that serve the interests of those in power while leaving out inconvenient truths that might challenge the dominant worldview. This manipulation of history extends beyond mere political control. It touches upon our deepest philosophical and spiritual beliefs, shaping the way we perceive ourselves and the world around us. One of the most fascinating aspects of this hidden history is how it links ancient civilizations, whose knowledge has often been relegated to myth, with modern discoveries that challenge established scientific paradigms. Take, for example, the work of ancient astronomers who, thousands of years before the advent of modern telescopes, mapped the heavens with a precision that is still astonishing. The ancient Egyptians, Babylonians, and Mayans were all deeply invested in understanding the stars, the planets, and the cycles of the cosmos. Their knowledge was not only practical, used to determine the best times for planting crops or navigating vast distances, but also metaphysical, tied to their understanding of the divine order. The Mayans, for instance, created a calendar so accurate that modern astronomers have only recently come to fully appreciate its complexity. Yet, despite the advancements these ancient cultures made in the field of astronomy, much of their knowledge was lost or concealed. Why were these records, this cosmic knowledge, discarded or hidden? It is possible that, as civilizations grew more centralized, as religions took hold, and as political power became concentrated in the hands of a few, these ancient understandings of the cosmos were seen as too dangerous to the prevailing narrative of control. The idea that the cosmos could be understood in ways that transcended the earthly ruler's authority would have been a direct challenge to the very foundations of religious and political power. This leads us to the question of what these civilizations might have known that we have not yet fully grasped. Were their advanced understanding of astronomy and the cosmos tied to something deeper, perhaps a more profound knowledge of human consciousness itself? Many researchers and thinkers throughout history have posited that the ancient civilizations were not only advanced in their understanding of the material world, but also in their spiritual and philosophical insights. This secret knowledge, passed down in texts, symbols, and rituals, could offer us a glimpse into a worldview that is radically different from our own. It's a worldview that integrates the material and spiritual realms, where understanding the secrets of the universe was not just about scientific discovery, but about attaining enlightenment and a closer connection to the divine. Some believe that the ancient Egyptians, with their advanced understanding of geometry, mathematics, and astronomy, were seeking a deeper truth about existence, one that could unlock the mysteries of life, death, and the soul. The ancient Egyptians were deeply concerned with the concept of the afterlife, and their texts, such as the pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead, provide detailed accounts of the journey the soul takes after death. But these texts were not merely concerned with religious dogma. They also reflected an understanding of the universe that was highly sophisticated, one that tied together metaphysical concepts with practical knowledge about the natural world. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this hidden wisdom is the way it was encoded. It is clear that much of the knowledge of ancient civilizations was passed down through symbols, allegories, and esoteric teachings, methods that allowed the most profound truths to be preserved while keeping them hidden from the uninitiated. This practice of encoding knowledge can be found not only in the religious texts of Egypt and Sumer, but also in the ancient mysteries of Greece and Rome. The Pythagoreans, for instance, were famous for their cryptic teachings, which were often shared in riddles and symbols. Pythagoras himself is said to have kept the teachings of his school secret, passing them down only to those who had undergone years of training and initiation. The idea that knowledge could be concealed in such a way reveals much about the ancient world's relationship with information and power. It was not simply enough to have knowledge. One had to be worthy of receiving it. This elitist approach to knowledge was meant to protect its sacredness and prevent it from being misused. But over time, as civilizations rose and fell, this once secret knowledge began to fade into obscurity. Texts were lost, symbols were forgotten, and entire libraries, such as the Great Library of Alexandria, were destroyed. Yet, the desire to uncover these hidden truths has not waned. In fact, the modern era has seen a renewed interest in these ancient mysteries, fueled by the discovery of lost texts, hidden artifacts, and even the reinterpretation of old symbols. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, for example, was a landmark moment in the history of hidden knowledge. These texts, which had been sealed away for centuries, not only provided new insights into the religious practices of ancient Judaism, but also challenged the canonical version of the Bible that had been accepted for centuries. The scrolls revealed that the early Jewish world was far more diverse and complex than previously thought, and that there were many competing interpretations of Scripture. Similarly, the rediscovery of the Nag Hammadi texts in the mid-20th century, which contain Gnostic writings, has had a profound impact on our understanding of early Christianity. These texts, some of which were considered heretical by the early church, reveal a different view of Jesus and the nature of salvation, one that places a greater emphasis on personal knowledge and spiritual awakening rather than adherence to orthodoxy. The more we uncover, the more we begin to question the stories we have been told. If entire libraries have been lost or intentionally destroyed, if sacred texts have been hidden away, what else has been concealed from us? The tantalizing possibility that there is more to our history, more to our spiritual understanding, and more to our connection with the universe than we have been led to believe challenges the very foundations of modern knowledge. It suggests that we have only scratched the surface of what is possible, and that the answers to some of humanity's most profound questions lie buried in the past, waiting to be rediscovered. It is not just ancient knowledge that has been hidden from us. The modern world has its own share of secrets, knowledge and technologies that have been suppressed or obfuscated for reasons that often serve the interests of a select few. Some of this knowledge relates to alternative healing practices, suppressed scientific discoveries, and even energy sources that could revolutionize the way we live. Throughout history, inventors and scientists have stumbled upon breakthroughs that could change the course of civilization, only to have their discoveries suppressed by those in power. For example, Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest inventors of the 19th and 20th centuries, was known to have developed technologies that could revolutionize energy distribution, but many of his ideas were either stolen, suppressed, or abandoned due to vested interests in maintaining the status quo. Similarly, the development of alternative medicine, which challenges the dominant pharmaceutical industry, has often been suppressed in favor of more conventional treatments that are profitable but less effective. In these instances, the suppression of knowledge is not just about controlling information. It's about maintaining a system that benefits the few while keeping the masses dependent and uninformed. This continued suppression of knowledge, whether it be ancient or modern, speaks to a deeper truth about humanity's relationship with power and control. Knowledge, in all its forms, is a double-edged sword. It has the power to liberate, but it can also be dangerous when it falls into the wrong hands. Throughout history, those who have controlled knowledge have held immense power, and this power has often been used to manipulate or even oppress others. The ongoing battle for knowledge, for truth, is one that is not just fought in the archives of history or the vaults of secret societies. It is fought in our own time, in the struggle to reclaim and rediscover what has been hidden or suppressed. Whether we are seeking ancient wisdom from the depths of history or pushing for the release of modern scientific discoveries, the quest for knowledge is ultimately a fight for freedom. Freedom to think, to understand, and to know the truth about our world, our history, and our place in the cosmos. As we approach the latter stages of our exploration into hidden knowledge and the shadow libraries that have survived through the centuries, we come face to face with a profound realization that many of the truths we seek may be locked away in plain sight. The existence of forbidden knowledge does not always require the discovery of lost tombs, hidden manuscripts, or secret societies. Sometimes, the knowledge we seek is embedded within the very institutions, ideologies, and practices that have been constructed to obscure it. Much of the world's wisdom, suppressed for centuries, has been concealed in plain sight, disguised as folklore, myth, or symbolism. These hidden layers of truth remain veiled behind layers of interpretation and cultural conditioning, and it is only by stepping outside the boundaries of accepted wisdom that we can begin to uncover the true meaning behind what is visible to us. Consider the role of sacred texts and religious scriptures throughout human history. While many of these texts are often seen as divinely inspired works of truth, the way they have been transmitted, edited, and interpreted over time has created a complex tapestry of concealed knowledge. Take, for example, the Bible, the Quran, and other major religious scriptures. These texts contain profound spiritual insights, but they also hide deep esoteric layers, many of which have been intentionally obscured. While much of the focus has been on the surface teachings, morality, law, and faith, the hidden meanings encoded within these texts often remain out of reach for the average reader. Mystical traditions, such as Kabbalah in Judaism, Sufism in Islam, and Christian Gnosticism, have long recognized that sacred texts contain deeper, often hidden truths accessible only through initiation, meditation, and esoteric interpretation. These mystical schools of thought assert that the literal understanding of religious texts is only the beginning. Beneath the surface lies a wealth of knowledge about the nature of reality, the divine, and the purpose of human existence, much of which remains concealed from the general populace. The deliberate esotericism of religious and spiritual teachings speaks to a larger trend in human history: the need to control access to knowledge. For centuries, spiritual leaders, religious authorities, and political powers have sought to restrict access to hidden knowledge in order to maintain their hold over the masses. From the secretive nature of the early Christian Gnostic sects, who passed down their teachings in hidden scrolls and symbols, to the role of the Catholic Church in suppressing alternative religious texts, the control of sacred knowledge has been a central theme in the history of civilization. In many cases, religious authorities acted not only as spiritual guides, but also as gatekeepers of knowledge, deciding what could be shared with the public and what must remain concealed. This centralization of knowledge allowed these authorities to wield immense power, as it gave them the ability to control the spiritual and intellectual lives of entire populations. Yet, there's a paradox within this suppression. While many of the esoteric teachings were deliberately hidden or guarded by a select few, these same teachings continued to leak out in subtle ways. They found their way into literature, art, architecture, and folklore, often in the form of symbols, allegories, and myths. The use of symbolism in religious and philosophical traditions is one of the clearest examples of this hidden knowledge. From the symbols of the Freemasons to the alchemical motifs found in Renaissance art, to the iconography of ancient temples, hidden truths have been encoded into the visual language of the ages. These symbols, often dismissed by mainstream scholars as mere decorative elements or superstition, have carried deep philosophical and metaphysical meanings for those who knew how to decipher them. The use of symbolism was a way for those in the know to pass down important teachings while simultaneously protecting these secrets from the uninitiated. Throughout history, secret knowledge has often been transmitted through stories, myths, and legends. These narratives, passed down through generations, contain deep truths about the human condition, the nature of the cosmos, and the divine. However, over time, these stories were transformed into mere entertainment, stripped of their deeper meaning, and turned into fables for children. The myths of ancient Greece, the legends of King Arthur, and the tales of the Egyptian gods, all of which were once seen as repositories of esoteric wisdom, became reinterpreted as simple stories of heroism, morality, and adventure. Yet, for those who understand the hidden meanings behind these myths, they reveal a much deeper and more complex view of reality. The Greek myths, for example, are not simply tales of gods and heroes. They are allegories for the struggles of the soul, the quest for knowledge, and the journey towards spiritual enlightenment. Similarly, the Arthurian legends are filled with symbols of initiation, the search for the Holy Grail, and the pursuit of divine wisdom. These myths, once understood as sacred, now serve as a reminder of how much of the knowledge we seek has been obscured, lost in translation, or buried beneath the weight of time and cultural shifts. The transformation of sacred knowledge into myth also plays a crucial role in the evolution of human consciousness. As societies moved from the ancient, mythological worldview to a more rational and scientific one, much of the spiritual and esoteric knowledge that once guided human civilization was abandoned or dismissed as superstition. The rise of modern science, with its emphasis on empirical evidence and logical reasoning, has led to the dismissal of many ancient teachings as irrelevant or outdated. The mechanistic worldview that emerged with the advent of the scientific revolution has shaped the way we understand the universe and our place in it. However, this scientific worldview, while undoubtedly successful in many areas, has also limited our understanding of the deeper, metaphysical aspects of existence. The reductionist approach that dominates modern science often fails to address the mysteries of consciousness, the nature of the soul, and the interconnectedness of all things. In many ways, the pursuit of knowledge in the modern world has become fragmented, with different disciplines operating in isolation from one another. What we need, perhaps, is a return to a more holistic view of knowledge, one that recognizes the importance of both the material and the spiritual, the known and the unknown, the scientific and the mystical. Interestingly, it is precisely this fragmented nature of modern knowledge that may allow for the rediscovery of lost wisdom. In recent years, there's been a growing movement that seeks to reconnect the dots between different fields of study, science, spirituality, history, and philosophy, in order to uncover the hidden truths that have been lost or suppressed over time. This interdisciplinary approach recognizes that the answers to humanity's greatest questions may not lie in any one discipline, but in the synthesis of many. Quantum physics, for example, has revealed strange and seemingly mystical phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality, such as the interconnectedness of particles, the observer effect, and the nature of consciousness itself. These discoveries, once the domain of metaphysical thought, are now being explored through the lens of modern science, suggesting that there may be deeper, hidden layers of reality waiting to be uncovered. Likewise, the resurgence of interest in ancient spiritual traditions, such as shamanism, mysticism, and alchemy, is evidence of humanity's desire to reclaim what was once hidden. People are beginning to rediscover the power of sacred rituals, meditation, and symbolic practices, recognizing that these methods can unlock new dimensions of consciousness and understanding. The revival of interest in sacred geometry, astrology, and other ancient systems of thought points to a growing recognition that the ancients may have known something that we have lost. The application of these ancient teachings to modern problems, whether in the field of medicine, architecture, or even personal development, offers a glimpse into the potential of hidden knowledge to transform the world once again. One of the most remarkable aspects of this process of rediscovery is how it challenges the established narratives of history. As more and more forbidden knowledge comes to light, the foundations of what we have been taught begin to crack. The narratives that have shaped our understanding of the world and ourselves are beginning to unravel, revealing a much more complex, nuanced, and mysterious reality than we ever imagined. These revelations are not just academic or intellectual. They're transformative, changing the way we think about the nature of existence, our relationship with the cosmos, and our place in the great tapestry of life. The more we uncover, the more we realize that the knowledge of the ancients, far from being lost or irrelevant, is waiting for us to unlock it once again. It is clear that the pursuit of hidden knowledge is not just a quest for answers to specific historical questions or scientific mysteries. It is at its core a search for something far deeper, a reconnection with the divine wisdom that once guided human civilization. This knowledge, if rediscovered and understood, could lead to a spiritual and intellectual renaissance, one that transcends the divisions of the modern world and brings us back to a place of unity and understanding. As we continue to peel away the layers of suppression and obscurity, we may yet discover that the answers to the greatest questions of existence have been with us all along, waiting patiently for us to remember. The journey into the unknown, into the shadows of history and knowledge, is not just about uncovering the past. It is about reclaiming the future. As we move deeper into the exploration of forbidden knowledge, we begin to touch on a critical realization. The very act of uncovering the suppressed wisdom of the ancients could have far-reaching consequences for how we understand ourselves and our place in the universe. The pursuit of hidden knowledge is not just a matter of seeking the lost texts of long-forgotten civilizations. It is a journey that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our history, our culture, and even our very identity. The more we uncover, the more we begin to understand that the knowledge we have been taught, the knowledge that has been passed down through generations, is incomplete, fragmented, and in many ways, intentionally altered. The gap between what we know and what we have yet to discover is wide, and every new piece of forbidden knowledge we unearth seems to widen it even further. This growing disparity between what we think we know and what remains hidden is not just a matter of academic curiosity. It is a profound challenge to the structures of power, authority, and belief that have shaped human civilization. The concept of suppressed knowledge is inextricably tied to the way that history itself has been written. Over the centuries, the narratives that have shaped our understanding of the past have often been dictated by those in power, who have sought to maintain control over the flow of information. In many cases, the knowledge that could challenge these dominant narratives has been deliberately erased, hidden, or distorted to preserve the status quo. This manipulation of history is not limited to the ancient world or to secret societies. It continues to this day, as those who control knowledge hold the keys to shaping our collective consciousness. The very concept of what is considered acceptable knowledge is defined by powerful institutions, and anything that falls outside of this accepted framework is often marginalized, dismissed, or even censored. This pattern is not new. It has been a consistent feature of human civilization for thousands of years, from the ancient empires of Egypt and Mesopotamia to the modern-day control of information by governments and corporations. The implications of this manipulation of knowledge are far-reaching. If the truth of our past has been deliberately obscured, then what does that say about the way we understand the present and the future? The very foundations of our belief systems, our understanding of religion, science, and history, are built upon a set of assumptions that may not be as solid as we have been led to believe. If the official narratives of history are incomplete or outright false, what does that mean for the way we view our place in the cosmos? Could it be that there's a deeper, more profound truth about human existence that has been hidden from us for millennia? And if so, what are the consequences of uncovering that truth? These are questions that lie at the heart of the search for forbidden knowledge. One of the most powerful examples of the way that history has been manipulated and suppressed can be found in the story of the ancient civilizations that came before recorded history. The Egyptians, Sumerians, and other ancient cultures left behind monumental structures and texts that hint at a far more advanced understanding of the world than we have been taught to believe. The pyramids of Egypt, for example, are often considered the pinnacle of ancient engineering. Yet modern scholars still cannot fully explain how these massive structures were constructed with the tools available at the time. The mysteries of the pyramids, along with the knowledge embedded in the hieroglyphs, suggest that the ancient Egyptians possessed a highly sophisticated understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and even physics. Yet, much of this knowledge has been lost or deliberately obscured. The ancient Egyptians, like many other ancient civilizations, had a deep understanding of the cosmos and its cycles, a knowledge that was encoded into their religious rituals, architecture, and sacred texts. This knowledge was passed down through generations, but over time, it was gradually lost or hidden from masses. The reasons for this suppression are not entirely clear, but it is likely that the knowledge was kept secret to preserve the power of the priesthood and the ruling elite. By controlling access to this knowledge, those in power could maintain their position at the top of the social hierarchy. Similar patterns of knowledge suppression can be seen in the ancient cultures of Mesopotamia and the Americas. The Sumerians, often regarded as the earliest known civilization, left behind a vast collection of cuneiform tablets that contain stories of gods, creation, and the origins of humanity. These texts, which date back to around 2100 BCE, reveal a civilization that was not only advanced in its understanding of the material world, but also deeply spiritual, with a complex pantheon of gods and a sophisticated belief system. The Sumerians also possessed advanced knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and architecture, which allowed them to build some of the first cities in history. Yet, much of this knowledge has been lost or obscured, partly due to the rise of successive empires that sought to impose their own narrative on the past. The rise of empires, such as Babylon and Assyria, led to the destruction of many of the Sumerian records and the erasure of their knowledge. This pattern of knowledge suppression continued throughout history, as one empire after another sought to rewrite the past in order to legitimize its own power. Similarly, the indigenous cultures of the Americas, such as the Maya and the Aztecs, also possessed a deep understanding of the cosmos, the cycles of nature, and the forces that govern the universe. The Mayan calendar, for example, is often hailed as one of the most accurate and advanced timekeeping systems ever devised, yet much of the knowledge behind its creation remains a mystery. The Maya also had an advanced understanding of mathematics, including the concept of zero, long before it was introduced to Europe. However, much of this knowledge was lost following the Spanish conquest and the subsequent suppression of indigenous cultures. The burning of the Maya codices by the Spanish colonizers ensured that much of their sacred knowledge was erased. Similarly, the Aztecs, with their complex system of astronomy and understanding of the divine, saw their culture decimated and their knowledge suppressed by European colonization. The story of knowledge suppression does not end with the fall of ancient civilizations. It continues into the modern era, as the control of knowledge has shifted from one group of elites to another. In the modern world, the suppression of knowledge often takes more subtle forms. The control of information through mass media, the manipulation of scientific research, and the suppression of alternative viewpoints are all examples of how knowledge continues to be controlled and distorted. Governments, corporations, and other powerful institutions have a vested interest in controlling the flow of information, as it allows them to maintain power and influence over the masses. The rise of the internet and social media has created new avenues for the spread of knowledge, but it has also made it easier for those in power to manipulate the narrative and control what information is accessible. Algorithms, censorship, and the overwhelming flood of content online have made it more difficult for people to separate truth from fiction, and for hidden knowledge to surface in a meaningful way. At the same time, the digital age has also opened up new possibilities for uncovering forbidden knowledge. The ability to access ancient texts, rare manuscripts, and obscure research from all over the world has allowed modern scholars and independent researchers to rediscover lost wisdom. The proliferation of digital archives, online databases, and open-source platforms has democratized access to knowledge in ways that were once unimaginable. While much of the world's hidden knowledge remains suppressed, there is a growing movement of individuals and organizations working to recover and share this information. The search for forbidden knowledge has become a global endeavor, with researchers from all walks of life joining the quest to uncover the mysteries of the past. But as we approach this hidden knowledge, we must ask ourselves, what will we do with it? How will we handle the profound truths that are waiting to be uncovered? The pursuit of forbidden knowledge is not a neutral activity. It is one that carries great responsibility. The knowledge we seek has the potential to radically alter the way we view ourselves and our world. It could lead to a spiritual awakening, a revolution in human understanding, or even the reshaping of society itself. But it could also be misused or misunderstood, leading to chaos and destruction. As we continue to dig into the past, we must be mindful of the ethical and moral implications of the knowledge we uncover. The search for truth is a noble endeavor, but it is one that must be approached with humility, caution, and respect for the power of the knowledge we seek. Ultimately, the quest for forbidden knowledge is not just about uncovering the secrets of the past. It is about understanding the present and shaping the future. As we uncover the hidden truths of our history, we are forced to confront the forces that have shaped our civilization and the ways in which knowledge has been used to control, manipulate, and divide us. The more we learn, the more we realize that the path to true understanding is not simply a linear journey of discovery, but a complex and ever-unfolding process that requires us to question everything we thought we knew. In uncovering the lost wisdom of the ancients, we are not just unlocking the secrets of the past, we are unlocking the potential for a brighter, more enlightened future. But this potential can only be realized if we approach the pursuit of forbidden knowledge with the wisdom to understand its power and the courage to use it responsibly. As we continue to journey through the tangled corridors of history, a profound realization begins to emerge. The secrets of the past are not merely hidden in ancient tombs, forgotten libraries, or suppressed texts. Many of them are buried in the very fabric of human consciousness, encoded into the collective psyche of our civilizations. The suppressed knowledge we seek is not just a relic of long-gone eras. It is alive within us, waiting to be rediscovered and understood. This knowledge exists not only in the tangible remnants of ancient cultures, but also in the mythologies, traditions, and symbols passed down through generations, even if we no longer fully understand them. There is a deep, almost primal connection between humanity and the mysteries of the past, one that transcends time and geography. This connection, which we might call an instinctive understanding of the universe, has been shaped by the very act of living through the ages. Every culture, from the ancient Egyptians to the Native Americans, has created its own narratives to make sense of the cosmos and the forces that govern it. The myths, legends, and sacred rituals that have come down to us are not just stories or superstitions. They're the keys to unlocking a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The hidden knowledge of antiquity is not confined solely to dusty scrolls or obscure books. It is encoded into the very fabric of our collective consciousness, passed down through generations in the form of symbols, rituals, and sacred teachings. These encoded truths are found in sacred geometry, astrology, alchemy, and other forms of esoteric knowledge. In ancient Egypt, the study of the stars, the alignment of the pyramids, and the complex rituals surrounding the afterlife were all designed to unlock a deeper understanding of the universe and the human soul. The knowledge embedded in the pyramids, for example, was not just architectural or mathematical. It was symbolic, intended to reflect the cosmic order and the spiritual journey of the soul. The precise alignment of the Great Pyramid of Giza with the cardinal points, for instance, is thought to represent a cosmic connection between Earth and the heavens, linking human consciousness with the divine. Yet, this knowledge is often overlooked or dismissed by mainstream academia, which focuses solely on the material and practical aspects of these structures, ignoring the deeper spiritual teachings they were meant to embody. Similarly, the ancient Greeks were masters of symbolism and encoded knowledge. The concept of sacred geometry, found in everything from the design of temples to the construction of cities, was central to their worldview. The Greeks believed that the patterns and proportions found in nature were not random, but were a reflection of a higher, divine order. The Pythagoreans, for example, saw numbers and mathematical ratios as the key to understanding the cosmos. They believed that everything in the universe was connected through these numbers, from the music of the spheres to the structure of the human soul. But as with the Egyptians, much of this knowledge has been obscured or lost over time. The teachings of Pythagoras and his followers were passed down through secret societies, hidden away from the public, in part because the knowledge they held was seen as too powerful for the masses. This tradition of keeping esoteric knowledge hidden from the general population continued throughout history, as secret societies, such as the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians, preserved and transmitted this sacred wisdom through symbols and allegories. In the modern era, the suppression of knowledge has taken on new forms, but the underlying motivation remains the same: control. The forces that seek to suppress knowledge today do so in ways that are more subtle and insidious than in the past. Rather than burning books or destroying ancient temples, modern-day gatekeepers of knowledge manipulate information through media, education, and technology. The narrative of history that we're taught in schools, for example, is often a carefully constructed story that serves the interests of the state, the corporation, or the prevailing ideological structure. History is not just a record of past events. It is a tool for shaping the present and future. The control of knowledge, both ancient and modern, allows those in power to maintain their position and influence over the masses, shaping the way we think, behave, and understand the world. Yet, even as knowledge is hidden or suppressed, the thirst for truth has never fully been extinguished. Throughout history, there have been those who have dared to challenge the official narrative, to seek out the forbidden knowledge that has been deliberately concealed. These individuals, whether they are scholars, explorers, or mystics, have acted as the keepers of the flame, striving to uncover the lost truths of the past and to pass them on to future generations. In the 19th and 20th centuries, for example, archaeologists and historians began to unearth ancient texts and artifacts that challenged the accepted understanding of history. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi texts, and the Rosetta Stone all provided new insights into ancient cultures and religious practices that had been long obscured or misunderstood. These discoveries not only rewrote history, but also forced us to rethink the nature of religious and philosophical thought, as they revealed a far more diverse and complex spiritual landscape than we had previously known. The rediscovery of these ancient texts has led to a resurgence of interest in esoteric traditions and occult knowledge. In the 20th century, many people began to explore these hidden realms, looking for answers to questions that had been left unanswered by mainstream science and religion. The rise of movements such as Theosophy, Hermeticism, and New Age spirituality can be seen as part of this search for deeper truths. These movements often drew upon the ancient teachings of Egypt, Greece, and the East, seeking to integrate these wisdom traditions into a modern worldview. At the same time, many of the secrets that were once hidden away in religious texts and occult teachings began to surface in the works of visionary artists, writers, and scientists. Figures like Carl Jung, Rudolf Steiner, and even Albert Einstein began to explore the realms of the unconscious mind, the metaphysical, and the unknown, seeking to bridge the gap between science and spirituality. The result was a blossoming of thought that sought to unify the material and spiritual worlds, recognizing that the mysteries of the universe could not be understood through reason alone. But as this rediscovery of hidden knowledge has unfolded, it has also faced resistance. Those who hold power and wish to maintain the status quo have always been threatened by the idea of a liberated, enlightened populace. The very act of questioning established norms, challenging accepted beliefs, and uncovering suppressed knowledge is seen as a direct challenge to the existing power structures. The fear of upheaval, chaos, or loss of control has led to continued efforts to stifle the spread of this knowledge. In the modern era, this resistance takes the form of censorship, debunking, and ridicule. The mainstream media, academia, and even governments often dismiss alternative viewpoints and esoteric teachings as fringe or pseudoscience, dismissing the very possibility that there may be deeper truths hidden within these traditions. This cultural suppression is pervasive, as many who explore these alternative ideas face social and professional stigmatization. The academic and scientific communities often reject ideas that challenge their established paradigms, and alternative theories are ridiculed as unworthy of serious consideration. Yet, despite this resistance, the search for hidden knowledge continues. The power of the human spirit, the insatiable drive to uncover the truth, cannot be easily suppressed. The rediscovery of ancient wisdom, whether through texts, symbols, or personal experience, represents a radical shift in how we perceive the world. It is a shift that challenges the conventional understanding of reality and opens up new possibilities for human consciousness. As more people begin to explore the ancient mysteries, a new understanding of the universe and our place within it begins to take shape. This understanding is not just intellectual. It is deeply spiritual and transformative. The ancient knowledge we are uncovering is not just a matter of facts and figures. It is about the profound interconnectedness of all things, the recognition of a divine order underlying the chaos of the material world, and the awakening of the human soul to its true potential. One of the most powerful aspects of this ancient wisdom is its ability to transcend time and place. The knowledge that we are rediscovering was not confined to one culture or civilization. It is a universal truth shared across all traditions and all eras, waiting for us to recognize its relevance to our modern lives. Whether it is the teachings of the Egyptian priests, the wisdom of the Gnostics, or the insights of the Eastern sages, the knowledge of the ancients points to a deeper truth about our existence. This truth is not limited by cultural boundaries or historical eras. It is an eternal wisdom passed down through the ages, waiting for humanity to awaken to it. As we continue to uncover this hidden knowledge, we are not just learning about the past. We are discovering the key to our future. The suppressed wisdom of the ancients holds the potential to transform the way we live, think, and interact with the world. It offers a blueprint for a more harmonious, enlightened existence, one in which humanity lives in balance with the natural world and the cosmic order. The rediscovery of this knowledge has the power to heal the divisions that plague modern society and to guide us toward a more enlightened future. But this future can only be realized if we, as a collective, are willing to embrace the knowledge that has been hidden from us and use it to shape a world that reflects the highest ideals of truth, wisdom, and compassion. The journey to uncover the forbidden knowledge of the past is not just a historical investigation. It is a spiritual awakening, a call to rediscover the divine wisdom that has always been with us, waiting for us to remember. As we reach deeper into our investigation of suppressed knowledge, we begin to confront not just the mysteries of the past, but also the potential implications that such discoveries have for our present and future. The very act of uncovering these hidden truths carries with it a profound responsibility. For centuries, knowledge has been kept from the masses, locked away in ancient libraries, buried beneath layers of history, or encoded in sacred texts. It has been hidden not just because it is esoteric or difficult to understand, but because it challenges the established order. This suppression has not been a random act of history. It has been an intentional effort to maintain control, to shape society in a way that benefits a select few, and to keep the vast majority of humanity in a state of ignorance and subjugation. As we peel back the layers of this carefully constructed narrative, we begin to realize that the truths we seek are not merely historical curiosities, but powerful revelations that could transform our understanding of the world. The discovery of forbidden knowledge, whether it is the ancient texts of the Gnostics, the lost teachings of the Egyptians, or the long-buried secrets of the Sumerians, represents a dramatic shift in the way we understand our place in the cosmos. These teachings reveal a worldview that is radically different from the one we have been taught, one that sees the universe as a deeply interconnected system where all things, both material and spiritual, are part of a greater whole. The ancient world did not see a divide between science and spirituality as we do today. To the ancients, knowledge was a holistic pursuit, an endeavor that integrated both the material and the metaphysical. The very act of studying the stars, the earth, or the human body was seen as a way to understand the divine order of the cosmos. This unified worldview was not just a philosophical ideal, but was reflected in every aspect of ancient life, from their architecture to their rituals, their art, and their understanding of the human soul. This interconnected view of reality has been obscured by the rise of modern science, which, for all its advances, has tended to separate the material from the spiritual. The scientific revolution, which sought to explain the natural world through observation and empirical evidence, has led to a fragmented view of existence. In this view, the spiritual is relegated to the realm of religion and mysticism, while the material is considered the domain of science and reason. This separation has led to a reductionist approach to understanding the universe, where everything is broken down into its smallest parts and studied in isolation. The ancient worldview, on the other hand, saw the universe as an interconnected web of relationships, where everything had a purpose and was part of a greater whole. The knowledge that has been hidden from us contains the key to reawakening this holistic view of the world. By rediscovering the wisdom of the ancients, we may be able to bridge the gap between science and spirituality and begin to understand the true nature of reality. The implications of this rediscovery are profound. If we accept that the ancient world held a deeper understanding of the universe, one that integrated science, spirituality, and consciousness, then we must reconsider many of the assumptions that underlie modern thought. What if the ancient civilizations, with their advanced knowledge of the cosmos, had a deeper understanding of the nature of consciousness itself? What if their knowledge of the stars, the planets, and the cycles of the earth was not just practical, but also spiritual, meant to guide the soul's journey through life and beyond? These are questions that challenge our modern worldview and force us to rethink what is possible in terms of human knowledge and experience. The very act of questioning the accepted narrative opens up new possibilities for exploration and discovery. What if, in our search for lost knowledge, we are not just uncovering historical facts, but tapping into a much deeper, universal truth about the nature of existence? This quest for hidden knowledge is not just about uncovering the past. It is about reclaiming the future. The rediscovery of these ancient teachings has the potential to radically transform our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. By integrating the knowledge of the past with the advances of modern science, we could unlock new ways of living, new technologies, and new ways of understanding the universe. Imagine, for example, a world where the knowledge of sacred geometry, astrology, and alchemy is not dismissed as superstition, but is integrated into modern scientific practice. Imagine a world where ancient healing techniques, which have been marginalized by the pharmaceutical industry, are recognized for their efficacy and applied alongside modern medicine. Imagine a society that recognizes the interconnectedness of all things, where the spiritual, mental, and physical aspects of life are seen as inseparable parts of a whole. In many ways, the suppression of knowledge has been the greatest obstacle to human progress. Throughout history, those in power have understood that knowledge is not just a tool for understanding the world, it is a tool for shaping it. The control of knowledge has been central to the consolidation of power, as it allows the ruling class to define what is true and what is false, what is possible and what is not. This manipulation of knowledge is not just a historical phenomenon, but is ongoing today. The rise of mass media, social media, and digital platforms has created a new form of control over information. In many ways, we live in a world where the suppression of knowledge is more subtle and pervasive than ever before. The narrative that we are presented with is shaped by those who control the flow of information. The suppression of alternative viewpoints, the distortion of historical facts, and the dismissal of unorthodox ideas are all part of the same system of control that has been in place for centuries. However, the rise of the internet and the democratization of information presents a new opportunity. In the past, knowledge was controlled by a select few, governments, religious institutions, and academic elites, who determined what information was accessible to the public. Today, the digital age has opened up new possibilities for the spread of knowledge. Online platforms, digital archives, and open-source resources have made it easier than ever before to access information that was once hidden away. This has led to a resurgence of interest in ancient knowledge, as people begin to question the official narratives and seek out alternative viewpoints. The internet has become a powerful tool for rediscovering lost wisdom, as individuals from all over the world share their findings, research, and insights. However, this new access to information also comes with challenges. The overwhelming amount of information available online can make it difficult to discern what is true and what is false. The same platforms that allow for the spread of knowledge also make it easier for misinformation and disinformation to flourish. In this new age of information, it is more important than ever to approach knowledge with discernment and critical thinking. The quest for forbidden knowledge is not just an intellectual pursuit. It is a deeply personal journey. Each individual who embarks on this path is forced to confront their own assumptions, beliefs, and biases. The process of uncovering hidden truths often requires a shift in consciousness, a willingness to look beyond the surface of things and question what we have been told. This is not always an easy process, as it can challenge the very foundation of our worldview. It can be uncomfortable to confront the idea that much of what we have been taught is incomplete, distorted, or outright false. Yet, it is only by questioning these assumptions that we can begin to move beyond them. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge is ultimately a path towards self-discovery and personal transformation. It is about breaking free from the limitations that have been imposed on us and opening ourselves up to new possibilities. In many ways, the search for hidden knowledge is a search for freedom, a freedom from the constraints of the past, a freedom from the control of powerful institutions, and a freedom to think for ourselves and seek the truth, no matter where it leads. As we continue to uncover the suppressed knowledge of the ancients, we must also recognize that this knowledge is not just for the elite or the intellectuals. It is for everyone. The wisdom of the past belongs to all of humanity, and its rediscovery has the potential to heal the divisions that have plagued our world. The knowledge of the ancients is not about maintaining power or control. It is about unlocking the potential within each of us to live more consciously, more harmoniously, and more connected to the world around us. By reclaiming this knowledge, we can begin to create a society that is more compassionate and more in tune with the natural world. The quest for forbidden knowledge is not just about uncovering the past. It is about creating a better future. A future where the wisdom of the ancients is not hidden but shared freely, where the mysteries of the universe are not shrouded in secrecy but explored openly and honestly. This is the promise of the journey into hidden knowledge, the promise of a world that is both ancient and new, both mystical and scientific, both spiritually profound and materially grounded. The future, it seems, is waiting for us to awaken to the deeper truths of existence. And in the search for those truths, we are rediscovering not just the past, but our true potential. As we approach the final stages of our journey through hidden knowledge, we begin to recognize that what we have uncovered is not merely an academic pursuit, nor is it confined to ancient mysteries buried in forgotten scrolls and ancient tombs. The deeper we dig, the more it becomes clear that this quest for forbidden knowledge is as much a journey into the self as it is into the past. It is a search for understanding, not just of the ancient civilizations who once held the keys to these secrets, but of who we are as individuals and as a species. This pursuit has always been about more than facts and figures. It is about reconnecting with the universal truths that bind us all. The lost wisdom of the ancients is not just a collection of historical curiosities. It is a living, breathing guide to understanding the nature of reality, consciousness, and the universe itself. It speaks to the very heart of human existence, touching upon the most fundamental questions we have ever asked. Who are we? Why are we here? What is the nature of the cosmos? And, most importantly, how can we unlock our full potential as conscious beings in this vast, mysterious world?